Hello and welcome back to Z Videos. In this video, we'll be taking a look at some of the most shocking celebrity prison stories. From Hollywood stars to famous musicians, we'll be uncovering the truth behind their criminal charges and how they dealt with their time behind bars. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. 1. Joshua Duggar is the eldest child of the Duggar family, subjects of the reality TV show 19 Kids and Counting. In 2015, news broke that he had molested 5 underage girls in 2002 to 2003 when he was 14 to 15 years old, 4 of whom were his sisters. This revelation led to the cancellation of his family's reality show. On April 29, 2021, he was arrested on 2 federal charges of receiving and possessing child pornography. At the time, he and his wife were expecting their 7th child. He was released on bail on May 5, 2021. His trial began on November 30, 2021. On December 9, 2021, he was convicted of both charges. In May 2022, he was sentenced to 12 years, 7 months in federal prison. He is incarcerated at the Federal Correctional Institution in Seagoville, Texas. 2. David Duke is a former Louisiana congressman, neo-Nazi, and former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, the youngest Grand Wizard ever at age 26. In December 2002, he pleaded guilty to tax fraud for underreporting his income on his 1998 tax return. He also pleaded guilty to mail fraud. According to a New York Times article, he told supporters that he was in dire financial straits and then used the hundreds of thousands of dollars they sent him over a 6-year period for personal investments and gambling trips to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Las Vegas, and the Bahamas. In March 2003, he was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison. He served his sentence at Federal Correctional Institution, Big Spring in Texas. He was released in May 2004. 3. Charles S. Dutton is an actor and producer best known for the TV show Rock and the movies The Piano Lesson and Get on the Bus. In 1967, he was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 5 years in the Maryland House of Correction. He was paroled after 20 months. While on parole, he was arrested on robbery and gun charges and sent back to prison to finish out his sentence. While in prison, he punched a guard and was sentenced to an additional 8 years. He later said, "I got 3 years for killing a black man and 8 for punching a white man." He was paroled in 1976 and in 1983 earned a master's degree from Yale University. 4. Joe Exotic is a former zoo owner, chief of police, and tiger breeder. Is the subject of the popular Netflix documentary series Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, and Madness and the British documentary film Louis Theroux, Shooting Joe Exotic. In 2019, he was convicted of 2 counts of attempted murder for hire for trying to kill Carol Baskin, a big cat activist. He was also convicted of 17 charges relating to the killing and breeding of tigers. He was sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. In January 2022, his petition for compassionate release due to cancer was denied. However, the judge reduced his sentence by 1 year and resentenced him to 21 years in prison. He is incarcerated at the Federal Medical Center in Fort Worth, Texas. 5. Flesh and Bone is a rapper best known as a member of the Grammy Award-winning rap group Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. He has been convicted 7 times since the mid-1990s of various crimes including assault, making terrorist threats, spousal abuse, and possessing an explosive device. In 1999, he was involved in an altercation in which he pointed an AK-47 machine gun at a former friend. In September 2000, he pleaded guilty to assault with a deadly weapon and probation violation and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. He served nearly 8 years at Pleasant Valley State Prison in Coalinga, California. He was released in July 2008. 6. John Forte is a rapper, songwriter, and former producer for the rap group The Fugees. Was sentenced to the mandatory minimum 14 years in 2001 after being found guilty of possession of 31 pounds of liquid cocaine with intent to distribute. He was incarcerated at the Federal Correctional Institution in Loretto, Pennsylvania. The son of singers Carly Simon and James Taylor lobbied furiously on his behalf, stating that he did not receive a fair trial and that his sentence was unfair. He was pardoned by President George W. Bush in 2008 after serving 7 years. 7. Lane Garrison, actor best known for the TV series Prison Break. In December 2006, he was driving a car that was involved in an accident in which 1 teenage passenger was killed and 2 others were injured. Garrison had a blood alcohol content of 0.2%, more than twice the legal limit for driving. He was also under the influence of cocaine. In October 2007, he pleaded guilty to vehicular manslaughter, drunk driving, and providing alcohol to a minor. He was sentenced to 3 years and 4 months in state prison. He served his sentence at the California Correctional Facility in Tehachapi. He was released in April 2009 after serving 17 months. 8. Joe Giudice is a TV personality best known for appearing on The Real Housewives of New Jersey. In 2014, he was sentenced to 41 months in federal prison for bankruptcy fraud. After his release in 2019, he was deported to his native Italy even though he had lived in the U.S. since he was an infant. resident, and his children, siblings, and mother all live in the US. However, he never obtained US citizenship. 9. Teresa Giudice is a TV personality and competitive bodybuilder best known for starring in The Real Housewives of New Jersey, ex-wife of Joe Giudice. In 2014, she and her then-husband Joe pleaded guilty to 41 counts of bank, mail, wire, and bankruptcy fraud. She was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison. She was incarcerated at the Federal Correction Institution in Danbury, Connecticut. She served 11 months and was released in December 2015. 10. Gary Glitter is an English glam rock singer who sold over 20 million records in the 1970s and 1980s. In 1999, he was sentenced to 4 months in an English prison for downloading more than 4,000 images of child pornography. In March 2006, he was convicted in Vietnam of committing obscene acts with 2 young girls ages 10 and 11 and sentenced to 3 years in prison. He served his sentence in Thursday Duke Prison and was released in August 2008. In February 2015, he was convicted in England of attempted rape, 4 counts of indecent assault, and 1 count of having sex with a girl under the age of 13 for sexually abusing 3 young girls between 1975 to 1980. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison. He is incarcerated at HMP The Verne on the Isle of Portland in Dorset, England, which is a jail solely for sex offenders. 11. Ryan Grantham is a Canadian former child actor best known for the movies Diary of a Wimpy Kid and The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus and an appearance on the TV show Riverdale. On March 31, 2020, he killed his mother by shooting her in the back of the head while she was playing the piano. In July 2022, he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder for the crime. In September 2022, he was sentenced to life in prison. If you like this video so far, please hit the like and subscribe button. 12. Rolf Harris was an Australian musician, singer-songwriter, and television personality. In August 2013, he was arrested and charged with 9 counts of indecent assault dating to the 1980s, involving 2 girls between 14 and 16 years old, as well as 4 counts of production of indecent child images in 2012. In July 2014, at age 84, he was sentenced to 5 years and 9 months in prison on 12 counts of indecent assault on 4 female victims during the 1970s and 1980s. He was incarcerated at HM Prison Stafford, which is specifically for men convicted of sex offenses. He was released in 2017 after serving nearly 3 years. Died May 10, 2023, age 93, of neck cancer. 13. Richard Hatch, reality show star who was the first winner of the TV show Survivor. In 2006, he was convicted of tax evasion for failing to pay taxes on his $1 million Survivor winnings. He began serving his sentence in a West Virginia federal prison in July 2006 and was released in October 2009. He was sent back to prison in March 2011 for probation violation because he failed to pay his tax bill from his original conviction. He was incarcerated at a state prison in Rhode Island and was released in December 2011. 14. William Hayden, gun shop owner and Marine who was the star of the reality show Sons of Guns. In April 2017, he was convicted of 3 counts of rape of 2 underage girls. He was given 2 mandatory life sentences to run concurrently, plus 40 years to run consecutively. In July 2017, he was sentenced to a 3rd life sentence for rape plus 10 years for aggravated incest of his daughter. The judge ordered that his sentences be served with no possibility of parole. Unless his convictions are overturned, which is unlikely, he will spend the rest of his life in prison. He is incarcerated at Louisiana State Penitentiary, commonly known as Angola, the largest prison in the U.S. 15. Aaron Hernandez was an American professional football player with the New England Patriots. In 2015, he was convicted of first-degree murder of a former friend and sentenced to life without parole. He was incarcerated at the Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center in Lancaster, Massachusetts. In 2017, he was acquitted of the double homicide of 2 men who were killed in a drive-by shooting outside a Boston nightclub. 5 days after his acquittal, he committed suicide. An autopsy revealed he had CTE, a degenerative brain disease caused by repeated blows to the head. It is speculated that CTE contributed to his violent behavior. Died April 19, 2017, age 27, by hanging himself in his jail cell. 16. Adam Hicks is a former child actor, singer, and songwriter best known for the movie How to Eat Fried Worms and the Disney series Zeke and Luther and Pair of Kings. In January 2018, he and his girlfriend were arrested for committing a string of armed robberies in Burbank, California. His arraignment was delayed for months due to him being declared incompetent to stand trial, and he remained incarcerated. In July 2019, he pleaded no contest to 1 count of second-degree robbery. The other robbery charges were dismissed. In July 2021, he was sentenced to 5 years in in state prison. The judge gave him credit for time served, and he was paroled in March 2022. 17. Lauryn Hill, Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter and former member of the group The Fugees. Her solo album sold over 10 million copies and has been certified diamond. In June 2012, she was charged with 3 counts of tax fraud for failing to file taxes on $1.8 million of income earned between 2005 to 2007. She pleaded guilty to the charges. In May 2013, she was sentenced to 3 months in prison and began serving her sentence in July. She was incarcerated at the Federal Correctional Institution in Danbury, Connecticut. She was released in October 2013. 18. Elizabeth Holmes, founder and CEO of the biotech company Theranos, was once named the youngest self-made billionaire in the US. It was all a smokescreen, however, because the company had falsified its test results on its supposedly groundbreaking technology and misled its investors. In 2018, she was indicted on 9 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. In January 2022, she was convicted of defrauding investors. In November 2022, she was sentenced to 11 years, 3 months in federal prison. In May 2023, she began serving her sentence at Bryan Federal Prison Camp in Bryan, Texas. 19. Felicity Huffman is an Oscar-nominated actress best known for the TV series Desperate Housewives and Sports Night and the film Transamerica. In 2019, she was convicted of fraud for paying $15,000 to have her daughter's SAT scores falsely inflated to increase her chances of being accepted into a prestigious college. She was sentenced to 14 days in prison at the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California, and served 11 days. 20. T.I. is a rapper, actor, record producer, and 3-time Grammy Award winner. In 1998, he was convicted in Georgia of distribution of cocaine and manufacturing and distribution of a controlled substance. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison but was released after 1 year. In March 2009, he was sentenced to a year and a day for unregistered machine guns and possession of firearms by a convicted felon. He was incarcerated at the Federal Correction Center in Forest City, Arkansas. He was released from custody in March 2010. In September 2010, he tested positive for opiates, which was a violation of his probation. He was sent back to prison for 11 months despite several pleas for leniency from several prominent members of the community. He was released in September 2011. And that's a wrap for part 2 of our series on celebrities who went to prison. We hope you enjoyed this eye-opening journey into the darker side of fame. Don't forget to leave a comment down below with your thoughts on these stories. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on our future videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.